As always, I'm joined with Josh Morris. Josh, in a really exciting weekend of footy for round 22. How did you enjoy it, considering the race for the top 8 just got so much hotter?
It certainly did, Eloise. There was some great footy played. But, yeah, that game yesterday with the Titans upsetting the Cowboys, that top 8, those 7 and 8 position has just become a whole lot more interesting with the likes of Manly and also the Knights. It's certainly made it a lot more interesting, and there's only 5 games to go. So I thought the Titans were good yesterday. Khan Pereira, he set the record for the most tries with 18, taking over David Fafita. And the Cowboys looked good in parts of the first half, but straight after half time let in 2 quick tries, and that was not a good sign. Todd Payton in the press has said that he wasn't happy with them, and they looked a bit jaded from Origin. So they've got a short turnaround this weekend against the Broncos, which is going to be another massive clash for them.
Yeah, perhaps they even had one eye on that clash with the Broncos at the weekend. Let's talk about the other game yesterday. Obviously, the Dolphins, they fell short going down there for Wayne Bennett. A massive win for the Bulldogs. I suppose you could say the Dolphins really only have themselves to blame in that one.
Yeah, they turned over a lot of possession, mainly through errors, but it came down to a kick with Jermaine Osako to win it. And in that position, you would have had all your money on him to get that one, but that's the pressure. And they needed to win that game to try and keep them in finals contention. For the Doggies, Viliami Kikau was back and scored a try and was one of their best as well. So positive signs for the Dogs. I thought Liam Knight was good, and obviously they have their signings coming next year. So there is a lot of light at the end of the tunnel for the Dogs in what's been a tough season.
Yeah, absolutely. In their press conference after, Cameron Ciraldo actually sort of couldn't confirm nor deny about some of those big names, Tokiaho, Salmon, coming to the club in 2024. So good signs for them. Also, too, I suppose, Matt Burton's field goal, that's what ultimately won it on the stroke of halftime when he kicked that field goal to go 1 point in front. That actually is what put the Bulldogs ahead by full time. So many people question whether he should have done that or whether there was a lot of, I suppose, whether there was any need for him to make that, but it ended up being the right call.
Well, that's it. Sometimes you just got to take the points when you can, and luckily enough, it mattered in the end for them. And Matt Burton's been one of their best players all year, and he's going to be a different player next year when he gets a lot of those higher quality players around him as well. So I was really happy for the Doggies yesterday, get that win there in Bundaberg. And as you said, the Dolphins, they're probably going to miss finals football now.
Let's talk about the Sharks. They look like they too could miss finals football. If they don't get the win over the Bunnies, it really isn't pretty viewing for them. I suppose we thought they were going to try and flex their muscles and show everyone that they could put it to a top-side team, but they fell short.
Yeah, they did. And they lost Will Kennedy very early, and he's been one of their best players all year. So they were always up against it with him going down. Penrith, they flexed their muscles, but what was impressive was the scoreline keeping them to 0 as well. They'll be really happy with that. They will want to get their defense in check heading into the final series. But, all questions are now going to the Sharks. Can they make the finals? They do have the Rabbitohs next week. Who do they put in fullback? Does Nico Hines go to fullback? I know he's put his hand up. That brings back in Matt Moylan with Braden Trindle in the halves. But it's the Sharks' defence. They need to get that sorted. If they can't get their defence in check, well, then the Rabbitohs coming up this week with Latrell and Cody and the likes of that, they could put a scoreboard on them as well. So a few questions need to be answered for the Sharkies to make the finals.
Yeah, absolutely. And the Penrith Panthers were looking impeccable as always. They have been all season, and they are really well and truly going to be there deep in September time. Talking about the Knights, I mean, a bit of a surprise packet at this time of the year. They've gone from strength to strength, and they're looking pretty impressive.
They're looking very impressive. And, I mean, how could they have gone if Kalen Ponga had been in all season is the question. He spent a lot of the start of the season out with, obviously, those head knock issues. Since he's come back, he missed Origin, and he has been on fire. Bradman Best, as I spoke about last week, since he's played Origin, he's just gone to another level, and that's what Origin does. It gives you a confidence and an ability that you know that you can play at that level, and then you go back to club football and showcase that. So They're on a tearaway at the moment, and I thought the Raiders would have a lot to play for in this one. I really thought that this was a must-win game for them, but the Knights just took it away from them straight away, and they were dominant. So, they're one team I probably wouldn't want to be coming up against with the momentum that they've got.
Yeah, absolutely. And I tell you who those teams are. Dolphins, Bulldogs, and Rabbitohs are coming up against the Knights over the next couple of weeks. Yeah, talking about the Raiders, they missed 44 tackles and 61% completion rate, something that Ricky Stewart will certainly be wanting to focus on this week. The Storm bounced back and the Eels just couldn't match them down there in Melbourne. Pretty impressive outing from the likes of Harry Grant, Jerome Hughes, Cameron Munster. You want them all firing at this time of year.
That's it. And there was the usual suspects that did it, wasn't it? It was Munster, Hughes, and Harry Grant. He was on fire. He got himself a double. Jerome Hughes had 5 assists, 3 line breaks, and a try. Like, those are the players you want with the ball in their hands. And there's talk this week that Ryan Pappenhausen may be making a return in reserve grade this week. I mean, if they can get him back for finals, fit and firing, well, then they become a very, very scary prospect.
Yeah, absolutely. And they come up against Penrith, this team. So I'm looking forward to that matchup. Just lastly, the Broncos, they're getting better. Electric first half, leading 20 to 0. The Roosters, they couldn't get it done. The Broncos look impressive. The Tricolours perhaps slipping down and not quite getting it done for them. What do you like about the Broncos at this time of year?
Oh, I think they're the real deal this year, Eloise. I think there's probably only 2 or 3 teams that can trouble Penrith, and I think the Broncos are one of those sides. I think they matched it with the forward pack of the Roosters, and then they just went to another level. They still have Jordan Ricky to come back as well. And once he comes back, I think you'll see that forward rotation become even stronger with the likes of Carrigan, Flegler, and Haas. Ezra Mam has been one of their best players all year, and the way he complements Adam Reynolds. And then you have Reece Walsh at the back, who's been probably the best fullback in the comp this year. So I think they are the real deal. I think this week's game coming up against the Cowboys is going to be another cracker, and it could potentially be the match of the round. But the Roosters, they've probably been the biggest disappointment this year with the squad that they had. They scored 2 tries, but they came from kicks and they were later on in the match. But what I will say is congratulations to Daniel Tupou. Played alongside Daniel. He's one of the most underrated wingers to ever play the game, in my opinion. And he took over as Roosters' all-time top try scorer. So that's a good thing for that club. But, yeah, I just see the Broncos as being one of the genuine premiership threats this year.
Yeah, great achievement for Daniel Tupou, and the Broncos are looking great ahead of the Queensland Derby, which is a very exciting matchup as we get close to finals time. Josh Morris, thanks so much for your time. Once again on Fox Sports Lab NRL. We'll see you later in the week.
See you, Eloise.
What's gambling really costing you? For free and confidential support, call the number on the screen or visit the website.